All right, I'm going to check the audio. Somebody says finally on my phone.
I'm going to check the audio.
All right, I guess that means that we're live. Is that what it means? That's what it means. Hello. Welcome back to Living in the Pacific Northwest with Hal Byrd. Today we're going live to talk about 5 ways that your agent might be sabotaging your efforts in home buying. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little bit of an update. Say hi in the comments as you come in. Whether you are live or watching the replay, just let me know maybe one of the things that you like the most about the Pacific Northwest. Maybe that could be a place, a restaurant, just something that you really like about the Pacific Northwest. So leave that in the comments as you join. If you feel so inclined, give this video a like. If you're having a good day, send good vibes my way. And if you don't like it, you can dislike it. Sure, that's fine. There's one person I'm convinced that dislikes every one of my videos. So whoever you are, shout out to you for continuing to show up and support the channel. I really appreciate you. And for those of you who don't follow me on Instagram, my Instagram handle is there. Yeah. And I share a lot of behind the scenes on there. So if you would have seen my stories, you would have seen a really funny, I thought it was funny, millennial throwback yesterday. You also would have seen that we had a client go under contract on new construction yesterday. So I post little tips and kind of more about the market. You'll notice that I don't do market update videos on YouTube. Part of the reason is that people are still watching videos that I made from a year plus ago at this point. And putting a market update on YouTube doesn't really make sense because the market's constantly changing. So if you want to know what's going on with the market, the best thing to do is to contact me. I can tell you where we are in real time. Pretty much the second that comes out, within a couple days, it's going to be outdated because things are just changing so rapidly in this market. So I post a little bit about market updates on my stories, just do different stuff over there. So make sure to go follow me on Instagram. And what else? Update wise, we had a very busy weekend. We had some in-town clients shopping for homes. We had a relocation client that came from California to do some shopping. He wanted to put an offer in on a home and it was just so competitive and he still has to sell his home there, and making the offer contingent just wasn't going to cut it. Really in the last 3 months, I would say, competition went from being maybe like an 8.5 in competition to about a 9. It's taken like a little step up. So the market is and continues to be very competitive. So that's all I'll say about the market. Is there anything else, dear, that I missed tip-wise or update-wise?
I'll mention it if I think of it.
Okay. So I think that brings us to the content for today. I guess if you're new here and you're wondering, who is this? My name's Hal Byrd. I'm a licensed realtor in the Pacific Northwest. I focus primarily on Southwest Washington and soon to cover the whole Portland metro area, meaning the south side of the Columbia River into Portland and some of the surrounding suburbs. And I make content for people who love the Northwest, who are either wanting to move to or move within Southwest Washington, Clark County. That's really my focus. I can help you if you're looking to sell anywhere in the country. I have an amazing network of agents that can help you sell your home and move to a different market. So if you just value my perspective and advice, feel free to reach out. You can always reach me by text. That's the best way. Sometimes call works too. I always answer my phone unless I'm sleeping or face-to-face with clients and showings, which can sometimes be for a long time, like yesterday. But I'm renewed, and here we are. We try to go live every Tuesday at 11 a.m. So I would just make sure you turn on, what are they called? Notifications? Mm-hmm. Whatever it is on YouTube, hit the bell, whatever the thing is, you know. So someone said, when Portland? I don't know what that means. Today, we are talking about 5 ways your agent might be sabotaging your home buying efforts. And part of the reason that I was inspired to make this video is because when we were in Leavenworth, I guess that's a worthwhile update, I dropped our hard drive when we were editing our content for Leavenworth, and the hard drive is ruined, so we had to take it to a data recovery place. We're doing a vlog on that, so that's going to be edited and up this week. Very sad day. RIP to our hard drive. So when we were in Leavenworth, I wrote multiple offers for clients while I was out of town. And during that time, one of the agents called me and was raving about the offer that I submitted. And I said, well, what was so great about it? And she was going on about all the things that I did that most buyers agents don't do. And it just made me think that so many of the things that I do, my clients have no idea about. It's not something that you can see outside of the result that they get, which is, hopefully they win the offer, especially in a multiple offer situation. And that doesn't always happen, but I do everything in my power to give you the best chance to make that happen. And so, yeah, when I got this call, I was flattered, I guess, a little surprised at how much she just raved about this offer and just thanked me so much for submitting such a good offer. So that's what we're going to talk about, because as a part of the public, as a buyer, if you choose not to use me, which is fine, not everyone is going to fit and mesh with my style, and I might not fit and mesh with yours, and I want people to have success. And so there's a person in our group who was in our Facebook group, Vancouver Talk, who was also kind of expressing her frustration in the group about how difficult it's been to get her offer accepted and buy a house here. And, she's already working with another agent. Ethically, there's, if she decides to work with me and to fire her other agent, that's her choice, but I would never pressure anyone or steal anyone's client. So, just wish her the best of luck. And so kind of in the context of that, of getting this call about my client's offer being so well written and everything being well done, and then hearing from someone who's decided to work with another agent and the struggle that they're having is kind of what prompted me to create this video. So without further ado, the first way, and these are in no particular order, but the first way that your agent might be sabotaging your efforts is not having a strategy. And what I mean by that is if your agent is working in a way that is like, this is just how I do things. So this could be an agent who maybe is in the market for a long time, kind of set in their ways, really set in their ways, meaning not adapted to the market. So, for instance, it's very common when a house gets listed that the listing agent and the seller will set an offer review deadline. What that means is that, let's say the offer or the home gets listed on Thursday this week. They'll give the weekend for people to go see the homes, and on Sunday night, they might say offers due by Sunday at 9 p.m., seller will review on Monday. In that case, when do you think would be a good time to submit an offer? It's not always the best option to be the first to submit your offer. It's also not always the best option to submit your offer at the last minute. So you really need to have a strategy when it comes to how you want to submit your offer, when, what you want to include in it. And there are, I would say, specific paths or templates that I use, but it's not a one size fits all. I don't do things the same way every time. We craft a strategy, an offer strategy for every house. Whenever my clients are submitting an offer, that's one of the things we talk about. What is their strategy to win this offer? What does the current playing field look like? Those are all things you need to know. So lack of strategy is one way that your listing or that your buying agent that's representing you to purchase your home might be sabotaging your efforts, having a lack of strategy. The second way is they might not be inquiring about other offers. I cannot tell you how many times I hear listing agents talk about, well, we just had an offer come in and I didn't get a call from the buyer's agent, nothing. Just an offer showed up in my inbox. That's not really serving clients the best. And maybe this video, I know there's some other realtors that watch my channel, so shout out to other realtors. Maybe this will help you whether you're in my market or not. And if you want to work together, if you want to know how to build a successful real estate business, especially being early on and using YouTube, you can reach out to me. We have a nationwide team that does training and you can work with me directly. Side note. So you always want your agent to inquire about other offers because you need to know. For instance, right after the summer of last year, I had about 6 clients. It's either 5 or 6. I'd have to go back and look exactly, but 5 or 6 clients that went under contract at or below list price. So in a market where everyone's talking about, well, multiple offers and everything's high priced and there's so much competition, somehow I found my clients deals that they could get in at list price or below list price. And that is a good chunk of people. I mean, 6 clients that also have gained equity in the last, let's say, those all would have closed by like October 1st. So however many months ago that is, 4 or 5 months ago, they've been gaining equity. And one of those clients actually closed with instant equity because their house appraised for $40,000 more than what we were under contract in the first place, which was also at list price. So you definitely want to make sure that you're calling about other offers because your strategy for offering at or below list price would change if there's multiple offers on the table. Whereas if you're the only offer, sometimes the strategy might change. And going back to that lack of strategy, we might go in with one offer, but if another offer is on the table, we might want to revise our offer after submitting. And so that brings me to the third way they might be sabotaging your offer, which is not building rapport with the listing agent. This is one of the things that is so intangible. You don't really know as the buyer what sort of relationship or rapport your agent has with the listing agent. You talk to your agent, the seller talks to their agents, and the agents communicate in between. How would you know if the listing agent, and in a way you might think, well, does it really make a difference if our offer is strong? It can, because if there's another similarly strong offer, the listing agent may say to their seller, well, this agent did this, this, and this, and I think that they have their stuff together way more. They're going to be easier to work with. We're going to have a smoother transaction with this agent versus this agent. So when it comes down to the wire, you want to be working with an agent that can demonstrate to the listing agent that they are the best person to work with in terms of making sure that not only are everyone's interests protected, but that things are progressing smoothly, that things happen on time, that they don't have to be following up with your agent constantly to find out, well, for instance, was the inspection scheduled? Did they deposit earnest money? Have you spoken to the appraisal? Did we get it back from the lender? When are your buyers signing? If the listing agent is constantly having to stay on top of the buyer's agent in a transaction, that's really not the way that things are supposed to work. I think it just works best when everyone does their job. It's like a group project. Like going through a purchase is like a group project in school. And you really want to make sure that everyone is pulling their weight to get that A on this group project. And when someone is lacking, it really hurts the rest of the group and someone has to pick up the slack. So you don't want your agent to give an impression to the listing agent that they're the slacker in the group project. Does that make sense? Like in school, I always was one of the top contributors in my group projects, and I definitely approach representing my clients in the same way. I want to go above and beyond so the listing agent knows. And so one of the ways I do that is by building rapport with them as from the time that we see the house until we get the answer about the offer. That's one of my biggest focuses. And my clients don't see that. They don't know that I'm doing that behind the scenes, but those are some of the things that you can't see. And that's why it's so important to know these things and to work with someone. And even if you're not buying in Southwest Washington, you could be buying in Seattle. Let me refer you to an agent who can do those things, or I can co-agent with them to make sure that everything is getting attended to. We're actually doing that with a client up in Olympia right now, and they have their offer out today. We're supposed to hear back today, so wish them luck. Let me check the comments before I go on. All right, no comments. If you guys have any questions as I'm going through this, whether you're live or watching the replay, just drop them below. I always try to come back and answer questions, or you can reach out to me personally. If you don't want to post it on YouTube, you can text me, call me, email, go to my website, halbyrd.com. However it is you want to get in contact with me, I'm perfectly happy with. Okay, so we talked about lack of strategy. We talked about not inquiring about other offers, and then we were just wrapping up not building rapport with the listing agent. So on to the fourth way that your agent might be sabotaging your efforts is sloppy contracts. Another thing, these are all things that are so invisible in a way to a buyer. How would you know if you're not dealing with these contracts all the time? How do you know what a properly executed, filled out contract looks like? How do you know which boxes are supposed to be checked, which ones are supposed to be left unchecked, what blanks are supposed to be filled in and where, what order you want to organize your offer? These are things that the public doesn't see. So for instance, most listing agents hate when buyer's agents submit their offers in multiple PDFs, meaning that you have the purchase and sale agreement sent as one PDF. You have the financing contingency sent separately. You have the utilities addendum sent separately. You have the appraisal gap sent separately. All of these different forms ideally should be in one PDF. It's a little bit sloppy to do it differently. It's a lot more clean and organized to arrange it all in one PDF. For instance, this agent that called me when we were in Leavenworth, she said that one of the offers she received was faxed. I don't think anybody likes receiving fax in, what are we in, 2022? Are you laughing? But not only was the offer faxed, it was faxed upside down and out of order. Like the actual contract was submitted out of order. So then not only did she have to get the physical papers and like rearrange them and put them in order, like that's so much extra work. When you think about what a listing agent is dealing with, they might be dealing with, recently in Camas, I had clients that were interested in the house in December. The house got 36 offers. So imagine having to do that for 36 offers. Nobody wants to deal with someone who does business like that. And that's just the reality. Should it be that way? I mean, that's up for debate, but the way things should be and the way they actually are two different things in a lot of cases in life. So, sloppy contracts. Not taking the time to fill things out. There are things that you should be doing as a buyer's agent to protect your client. And the other thing that this particular listing agent said was that she knows when she sees a contract that the buyer's agent meant to fill something out, but they didn't. And so she's having to go back and tell the buyer's agent, hey, you forgot to do this, and in a way that's protecting the client. So those are things that you don't want to put that foot forward when it comes to submitting an offer in a multiple offer situation, when there's probably other offers that are higher. There's other offers that might be more competitive, might be cash if you're financing. Or what happens a lot to my clients is that you might be neck and neck. And these little things can either push you over the edge to win or make you look like an inferior option, like a less secure, stable option to choose. So, sloppy contracts, super important. And then the last thing I would say is not being creative. If you've talked to me on the phone, you probably have heard me say this, that one of the things that I focus on when representing buyers is being creative and finding ways to make your offer more competitive and stand out outside of price. Of course, all sellers want highest and best. I'm sure if all of these sellers who own $500,000 houses could get $1 million cash for them, they'd be over the moon. Like, who wouldn't? But at the end of the day, it doesn't only come down to price. Most recently, this is going on, my clients are closing next week. About 3 weeks ago, they went under contract, and it was it was so competitive. It was one of the most, probably like the top 3 most competitive offer situations I've dealt in. The house was listed at, I feel like I should just look this up real quick while we're talking because it's definitely worth sharing.
And sharing is caring.
Sharing is caring. The address to their house is their new house, their future house, the house they're going to close on next week. Don't want to share private information. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through this example because I think any buyer who was in this situation that had me representing them would be over the moon with the way that this went down. So I'm quite proud of myself, and even more, I'm just super happy for my clients. Okay, found it. So this was a 3-bed, 2.5 bath, over 2,000 square foot home. Really nicely updated. The list price was about $525,000, and there were multiple offers on the table. My clients ended up wanting to offer $545,000 initially, and I advised them. I said, "Look, I think that this house is going to go for more than $545,000. If that's what you're comfortable submitting with, I'm happy to submit whatever price you want to submit. If this is the house that you really want to win." And they were kind of up against the deadline because they have another house under contract. They have their existing house under contract. So it's going to close, and then they don't really have anywhere to go. So they needed to close by a certain date in order to move down here, or they're going to end up in some hotel or an Airbnb or something and have to put all their stuff in storage. It would just be way more complicated if they didn't close in time. So they really liked the house. They said, "We want to win." I said, "Okay, I think this house is going to go for more than $550,000. Are you comfortable going to that price?" They said, "Sure, no big deal." And keep in mind that a $5,000 difference in price is about $25 a month in a mortgage payment. So if you're, sometimes if you're okay losing a house because you don't want to pay $25 more a month, and I mean, it ends up, there's 2 ways to look at it. It's $25 a month, doesn't seem like a lot, or $5,000 more finance over the course of the loan is, really more than $5,000. So there's 2 ways to look at it, and it really depends on the situation, on the house, on how much you like it and how much you want it. If I thought that they could have won at $545,000, I would have said that, but I didn't think, and I was right because they definitely would not have won at $545,000. So they decided to up their offer to $550,000. I said, well, round numbers. Everyone thinks in round numbers. What about $551,500? So $551,000 and $500. They said that's great. So we submitted an offer at that price, very competitive offer with all the other terms. Going back to getting creative, we did everything we can to max out how competitive their offer was outside of price. And then when it came to price, we talked about what might be the best strategy. And I was in contact, going back to building rapport with the listing agent the entire time. So I'm following up with them. I'm asking about offers, up until the last minute, not in a way to bug them. There's a fine balance between annoying them and fighting for your client and showing them that you're a great agent to work with. So I was following up with them. And at this time, I don't know if you remember this, Jared, we were out at the winery with clients. And I got a call from the listing agent, and they said, "We're presenting the offers in 15 minutes. We are driving over to the seller's house right now. And there's another offer that is on its way. We don't have it in hand yet, but we think it's going to be around $555,000. So I'm like, okay. So I call my clients while we're at the winery. I had to apologize to people that we were entertaining who are thinking about moving up here later this year. I said, I have to do this. I have to get this house for my clients. So I step away. Thank God Jared's a great entertainer and a great conversationalist. Aren't you?
I am.
And I call my clients and I'm like, okay, look, this is the layout. They're expecting another offer. It is likely going to be around $555. Do you want to bump your price up to $555 or do you want to stay at your current price? And they said, well, we can go to $555. I said, okay, in case the offer comes in for more, what's your max, the highest you're willing to go to? I will try to keep you away from that max as much as possible, but just to minimize the back and forth, since, they're about to present offers, what's the highest you're willing to go? They gave me that number. I'm not going to say it publicly because not yet, at least. So I said, okay. So I called the listing agent back. I said, they'll go to $555. We added some other sweeteners in. They won't request repairs that are less than $10,000. So the buyer said, if there's any sort of repairs that need to be done, we'll take on the first $10,000 of it. We won't ask for that. We won't be ticky-tacky with the inspection. Like, we were just selling everything about their offer. And the other offer came in. And the listing agent called me after she reviewed with the sellers. The other offer came in at $575. $575. They were $20,000 higher than my client. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to break the news to my clients. Like, this is not fun. This is in some ways a very difficult part of my job, because I know the emotional roller coaster you go through when you first see a house and you start imagining yourself living there and you finally decide on a price and your stomach is going up and down, and there's butterflies and there's excitement and there's nervousness and there's all of these emotions. And so I'm like, wow, $575, really? $575? Okay. If you remember, the list price was $525,000. And in this market, strong offers, are 10% above asking. If it's a really competitive house, sometimes 10% above asking is really the starting point. That wasn't the case with this house, but there are homes that I've done that with. I wrote an offer last week that was it was $93,000 over asking, and the house was priced under $600,000. So my client offered more than 10% over asking and lost. So that was, if you guys are wondering, that was in Camas, Prune Hill area. Very competitive. We actually have another offer in for that client in another Prune Hill house. So cross your fingers for her. We've got 2 offers out right now, and client yesterday went under contract for new construction, and I'm writing another offer for a different client today. So that's kind of what we're up to around this live stream. And the Sixers play today, so that's fun. Yay, we're waiting for some. Yay! We're waiting for some Woj bombs. So I'm supposed to be telling you guys a story. Hi, thank you for your Vancouver videos. They made me want to move there. Thank you, the infamous Bertman. Nice to see you. I think this might be your first comment because I don't recognize your username. So hello. Hello. Okay. It's an inside joke. You shouldn't do that to me. I'm live. I couldn't help myself. It's nothing bad. It's just, anyway. Okay. So, list price, $525. My client's offer, $555. The competing offer, $575,000. I'm like, for sure we lost, right? And she goes, because my clients ended up using Rebecca. So both Rebecca and Hans do this. And people ask me, well, is there any advantage to one or over the other? And it's just who you feel most comfortable with. I think it's important that you feel comfortable with your agent and with your lender. So about half my clients go with Hans and about half my clients go with Rebecca. So it truly, it doesn't make me a difference other than you being satisfied with the service you're getting, and they both provide amazing service and do the exact same things for my clients in terms of closing days, in terms of making listing agent calls, which is what I'm about to tell you about, and how the whole situation ended up. So I feel like I'm building up anticipation. So this particular client was using Rebecca Bustamante, one of my lenders that I work with very closely. And I have any lender that I'm working with, whether it's Hans or Rebecca, call the listing agent when we submit your offer, because I want the listing agent to know that our client is well qualified, that there's nothing like wacky with their application, because you might have heard me say this on another video that sometimes banks, mortgage officers, like mortgage companies will issue pre-approvals without kind of loosely, I guess would be the best way. And then when you go under underwriting and you're under the scrutiny of the underwriter, can't close. And there are companies that are more known for that than others, and frankly have a poor reputation with agents. That's all I'm going to say publicly. So I had Rebecca call the listing agent. She explained their situation. She sold my clients to listing agents. So now you have a tag team. You have me selling the way that I work and my client's offer to the listing agent. And then you have the lender tag teaming, selling the client, selling our offer, selling why the lender would be great to work with. So while I'm building rapport with the listing agent, selling myself and how great I am to work with, the lender's doing the same thing, because getting in touch with a lender when the listing agent wants to know. They want to know, is this progressing? How's the underwriting going? Did the appraisal come back at value? These are things that are more on the lender side. And so it does matter to a listing agent and to a seller how competent and communicative the listing or the lender is. So having the lender call the listing agent is a huge advantage. That's not even on my list of things. So number 6, it was 5, now it's 6. Things that you wouldn't know as the public that your buyer's agent should be doing, and if they're not doing, are kind of low-key sabotaging your efforts. Having your lender call the listing agent, that's number 6. So Rebecca called. The competing offer that was $20,000 more was with one of the lenders that I said that has a bad reputation with listing agents. It's a big nationwide company. And because of that, so because of Rebecca calling the listing agent compared to the higher offer with this other nationwide lender, the seller decided to go with my client's offer and take $20,000 less in their pocket to work with myself and Rebecca and my clients. So just off the top, I mean, doesn't that mean that we're worth like that Rebecca and I are worth like $20,000 to our client? Because the other option, if it was that close, would have been for them to call us back and say, you need to go to 575. We'd rather work with you, which I do get that call out. We'd rather work with you. So if your client can go to 575, we'll take your offer over theirs. Going back to building rapport, I get those calls because I build rapport. But the fact that we won when there was a $20,000 higher offer because of the lender and the way we work, that's what makes the difference. So there's a lot of things that you can't see that your lender and your buyer's agent are doing. And in this case, it can easily save you $20,000. Does it happen every time? No. Was I shocked? Yes. Super excited for my clients. I think it's a great house. I'm so excited for them. And it just couldn't have worked out better. And I have stories like that all the time, not quite turning out that way, but things that just might not look like it should happen, but because of the things that I'm doing on the back end, implementing a strategy for you, building rapport with the listing agent, getting creative, calling the listing agent to make sure that the lender is calling them, having really tight, clean, well-drafted offers/contracts, super important. And then inquiring about the other listings, because I don't want you to offer more than asking if you're the only offer on the table. What sense does that make? But you have buyer's agents who are doing that. And I personally think that's crazy, especially if you do a short expiration time. That's another story that goes back into strategy. So these are all things that I'm working on for my clients, really putting everything that I have towards making sure that they can get the house that they want. Doesn't always work out, but more often than not, they find the house that they want. And the offers that they initially made, that they were like, this is the house we want, the house they actually end up with tends to be the best house. When they look back, they're like, I'm so glad we didn't win that first offer because we like the house that we actually bought so much better. And that's all that I want for my clients. So those are some ways that your buyer's agent might be sabotaging your efforts. Jarrett, you want to add anything?
I do, just as an observer. two things that have been very interesting to me in kind of just watching you build your foundation and learn the business and kind of accomplish what you've done. So two things that really stood out to me. Mm-hmm. One is like reputation. It's like anything else, it's like it's not clicky, but reputation is huge. So as gaining a reputation of being a very efficient, competent realtor, working with other realtors, remember and realize that, and people talk. So if if you're working with someone who has either a great reputation or not so great reputation, that could hurt or harm your offer. Mm-hmm. So find someone who has a good reputation. And then the other thing that I wasn't prepared for, but I have a whole new respect for it. And I've worked with agents, in buying homes as investments for 20 plus years now. Mm-hmm. But the amount of work that goes in being an agent, is way more than I always tell you, to me, you guys are almost like a pseudo real estate attorney and consultant, just based on all the things that you're looking out for and mm-hmm. you're on top of and guiding your clients through the journey. So, to me, you put in a ton of work again, most people will never see the side of work that I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I see it and I appreciate it. So, yeah, I would just tell people, reputation is huge, and, be careful in picking out the person who's going to put the right kind of work in for you behind the scenes.
Thank
if that
you.
Makes sense.
It does. Jen Matt says, "What's up? I love your videos." Thank you. So glad. Thank you guys for the likes too. I really appreciate it. I think that's everything. I don't know if I have anything else to share. Things are incredibly busy, in my opinion, for February. February is historically our lowest inventory month. Inventory is super tight. Referencing back to one of the things I talked about in the beginning of the video, which is that competition has really kicked up another notch. I'm seeing that it has to do with fear around the increase in interest rates, the lack of inventory. For instance, last week in Prune Hill, there were 2 homes listed that were less than $1 million. So if you wanted to live in Prune Hill, which is in Camas, I did a driving tour of it if you want to see it, and you want to spend less than $1 million, I think the other 2 homes were like $995 and $997, so I'm rounding, but there were really 2 homes to choose from. And the showings for the house that I showed, I only showed one of those homes, were back to back to back. Like there was a line outside. So part of it is fear around interest rates. Part of it is a lack of inventory. And then the other part of it is inflation. Inflation is so high and it's going to affect everything, and who knows where it's going to go. I often say that if economists are paid to predict what's going to happen with the economy and they can't get it right, like I'm certainly not going to get it right. So I have opinions and feelings and hunches and different things like that, but who knows? I mean, I didn't know that the market could get even more competitive here than it was, and it has. It's still feasible, it's still doable, but you definitely need your agent, hopefully me, to prepare you in advance so that when you start going out to shop, you're not wasting time. Because I find that my clients that are not as receptive to my advice end up taking longer to go under contract, because despite what I'm telling them and educating them with about how the market is, they're not quite ready to fully embrace where we are in reality. So they're like, well, I think this is a really fair offer. We're such amount, blank amount over asking. And I'm like, yes, that is a good offer in any market. I think a seller should be happy to take it. But I think that other offers are going to come in higher, and then they lose, and then they see, well, how much did the other house go for? I had this happen to a client recently because we've been shopping for a good while now. Most of my clients go under contract in about 2 weeks. These particular clients have been shopping for coming up on 2 months. They were shopping when they were contingent, which I think is good. I do think it's good if you have a house to sell, start shopping while you're contingent, because if we can find that gem, which I'm pretty decent at, that has been sitting on the market a little longer than usual or came back on market, and we can jump on it quickly before everyone else notices. Doesn't always work, but it works. It does work out sometimes. We can get a contingent offer accepted. It's not impossible to get a contingent offer accepted. It's challenging, but it's kind of good to start, especially if you're under a time constraint or you want to just move once. You want to move from your existing home to your new home. Lost my train of thought. Hopefully someone can remind me. So my clients found out that have been shopping for 2 months. One of the homes that they made an offer on more than a month ago has closed escrow. They were $5,000 away, or going back to it, $25 a month away from making it. They made an offer that was $20,000 above asking, but they lost by $5,000. The house closed only $5,000 more than what they offered. So, their contingency was the biggest thing that the seller, like in the feedback that we got, the contingency was the thing that scared the seller the most. And you will have sellers like that. And then you'll have other sellers who don't care so much. And if, you are in a good place with your other offer, meaning, inspections have already happened, the appraisals come back, some sellers would take more money and with the contingent offer than take less money for non-contingent. And that's going to vary between seller to seller. But it really hurt them to see that they were only $5,000 away from doing it. And they have the means to offer, really, if it really came down to it, they could have offered $100,000 more than asking on that house. Like, it was well within their budget. They could have offered $200,000 more. The house was well within their budget, and they lost by $5,000. So when I'm educating my clients, that's one of the things I'm trying to tell them, that sometimes what you see as past sales don't matter, because houses that closed a month ago went under contract 2 months ago, and the market 2 months ago is different than the market right now. So comps only help to a certain point because they show what's happened in the past. Whereas every single week I'm submitting offers for clients, and I'm seeing in real time what's winning and what's not. And that feedback is probably just as valuable as comps. So I would just say, take my advice so I can save you some heartache. And if you really want to get under contract quickly, we can do so within 2 weeks. I have clients, actually my client that went under contract yesterday, 10 days from the day that we saw our first house, she was under contract. So super excited about that. Let me check comments. So if you have any last questions or things to share, or just want to say hi, and then I think we'll get off. We've been on here for about 45 minutes. Hi, Hal, great info. We are still looking in Vancouver/Camas. Alex says, finally caught you while you're live. Hi, welcome. Glad to see you in the comments. I really like getting to know you guys, even if you're just in the early stages of exploring. I tell people all the time, just get on my radar, because I had a gentleman call me today. He's like, oh, you've spoken to my wife. And I was like, what's your wife's name? And he said her name. And I was like, oh, such and such, so-and-so. Like, I knew who he was talking about just by saying her first name, because I matched her first name. And I asked, I was like, is this your last name? And he was like, yeah, that's us. So it's really helpful to get that kind of top of mind familiarity. So I find that a lot of my clients watch a lot of our videos, which I'm grateful for, and I'm super happy that they're helpful, which is the feedback that I get the most. They're really informative and helpful. But a lot of times they know me really well, but I don't know you. So let me get to know you so that, as you need more attention and get closer, we've already kind of established a relationship. That's the way I like to do it. Doesn't always work out that way. I love my last minute clients who call me and say we need to go under contract in the next 2 weeks because we have a job to start. Those are fun too. So wherever you're at, reach out. I think that's everything for now. I'm going to go write a contract for my client who is submitting an offer in Salmon Creek. Very hopeful about that one. This will be their first rental property. So that's what I'm doing this afternoon. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.